The parliament in Hong Kong just passed the much debated security law, and now Western countries are beginning to cut ties with the state within China. The UK is offering a path to citizenship for the British nationals living within Hong Kong. And now, at the same time, the US is threatening to cut economic ties with Hong Kong as they fear that they are losing their independence from China. All of that and much more coming up in today's video. So for all of 2020 so far, the people of Hong Kong have been protesting the new security law that was just passed. To clarify, the law was agreed on and passed, but there are still a bunch of details within the law that needs to be written down and agreed on. What it does mean is that China have now effectively gained more control over the state that was given over to them 23 years ago, but has maintained its independence up until this day. And why is the state of Hong Kong so important? Well, for one, it's in the top 10 list of countries or nations in export and import in the whole world. Right now, in the CIA list, they are sitting on the imports list at number 9 and the exports list at number 10. And so what exactly does the new law do? Well, it cracks down on terrorism, but more importantly, dissent against the Chinese government. As I just said, we still need to know the details of it, but effectively, this could shut down the protests for good in Hong Kong. And that would mean that Hong Kong could lose its voice and thereby its ability to fight back against a complete Chinese takeover. Alright, so let's take a look at how the US is responding to all of this. This CNN article says Pompeo says Hong Kong is no longer autonomous from China, jeopardizing billions of dollars in trade. And it goes on to read, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said he certified to Congress Wednesday that Hong Kong no longer enjoys a high degree of autonomy from China, a decision that could result in the loss of Hong Kong's special trading status with the US and threatening its standing as an international financial hub. You see, the US has given Hong Kong a special trading status, but only as long as they can prove their independence from China. President Donald Trump and Congress will decide what actions to take as a result of the certification, which comes at a time of increased tensions with Beijing as the two countries trade barbs over the coronavirus pandemic. Ending a special trading relationship that has existed for decades would carry costs for American business, rattle an already fragile global economy, and hurt Hong Kong more than China, experts warn. I think that's a really good point, that everyone involved with this will get hurt by it. It's not just China that will be hit by it. It's not just Hong Kong. Actually, I think in the end, Hong Kong will end up taking more damage than China will, and the US will suffer greatly at the same time. Let's do this last section also. The State Department is required by the Hong Kong Policy Act to assess the autonomy of the territory from China. After careful study of developments over the reporting period, I certified to Congress today that Hong Kong does not continue to warrant treatment under the US laws in the same manner as US laws were applied to Hong Kong before July 97, back when the ownership was given over to China from the British, he said in a statement. No reasonable person can assert today that Hong Kong maintains a high degree of autonomy from China, given facts on the ground. Yeah, this really could mean a huge loss for Hong Kong in trading rights and just trading relationships with other countries. What I'm reading in other articles is that it's more governments that are concerned. It's not so much private organizations and businesses. So they won't lose everything, and they won't just cleanly cut ties, because there simply is too much money involved in this case. So the final aspect that I wanted to bring into today's video is the human effect that this is having. The UK announces that they are opening a path to citizenship for some Hong Kongers if China imposes new security law. When this law is imposed on Hong Kong, there will be a bunch of people who needs to get out of Hong Kong fast. Just think of all of the people who have been protesting for a long time. Overnight, all of that could become illegal. So to help out, the UK will be reaching out to hundreds of thousands of people living in Hong Kong who are these so-called British nationals. Let's read just a few sections from this article. Britain vowed to extend visa rights and provide 300,000 Hong Kong British nationals, overseas passport holders, with a path to citizenship should China impose a controversial security law that would curtail freedoms in the territory. If China goes down this path and implements this national security legislation, we will be required to change the status of BNO passport holders and set in train arrangements which allow them to come to the UK for longer than the current 6 months period and to apply for extendable periods of 12 months of work and study, which itself will provide a pathway to citizenship, Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said on Thursday. Usually, Hong Kongers could only go back for 6 months, but what they're suggesting here is to give them an additional 6 months in which they could both work and study, which is part of the plan in the UK for you to actually becoming a citizen. So to people potentially fleeing Hong Kong, this is a great opportunity. Look, as one of my Chinese subscribers recently told me, this is very painful for the Chinese people. The people of Hong Kong practically considers themselves Chinese as they live under the saying, one country, two systems. So Beijing has long been trying to gain control over this small state with a massive economy. In the eyes of Beijing, Hong Kong is rightfully theirs, and they feel like Hong Kong should be a natural part of China. But on the other side, the people of Hong Kong are protesting for a reason, and it's sad to see them lose at least a battle in the bigger war. So now what happens if the US won't trade with Hong Kong anymore? And what happens if potentially hundreds of thousands of Hong Kong people are gonna leave for the UK? At the end of the day, I don't think that's going to happen, but it very well could happen. And as with everything involving China, it's just complicated. What's really worrying is that now things look to be moving at a much faster pace. And no matter how you look at this, it really looks like a big loss for the protesters in Hong Kong, and it looks like a big win for the Chinese government. Either way, I'll make sure to keep you guys up to date on the issue, so remember to subscribe to the channel. And as always, leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to respond to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.